March 3rd, 7:42 p.m. The sun had just slipped beneath the horizon in the quiet suburb of Brookhaven, Georgia, painting the sky in soft hues of lavender and blue. It should have been an ordinary Wednesday night, but inside the Morris household, something wasn't right. Jenna Morris sat on the edge of her worn-out sofa, her hands trembling as she typed out the last text she would ever send. The television played in the background, some forgettable sitcom laugh track echoing in a house gripped by tension. Her 8-year-old daughter, Lily, was asleep upstairs, clutching her favorite stuffed bunny. Jenna had kissed her goodnight like always, one kiss on the forehead and one whispered promise in her ear. "Mommy's not going to let anyone hurt you. I swear." Her eyes flicked to the digital clock on the wall. 7:42 p.m. She knew he was coming. She could feel it, the way animals sense storms before they arrive. She had seen the car slowly rolling by earlier. She had heard the crunch of tires on gravel, the knock that never came but echoed inside her bones. She opened her phone, scrolled past messages from friends, ignored the one from her co-worker asking if she was coming in tomorrow, and then she typed it, a simple, gut-wrenching message to her older sister, Amelia. "He's coming." She hit send, then dropped the phone. No follow-up, no reply, no sign of life ever again. March 4th, 9:16 a.m. Amelia showed up at Jenna's door with a hot coffee in hand, expecting to find her little sister just shaken and paranoid, like she'd been ever since the custody ruling last month. She rang the bell, waited. Nothing. She knocked louder. Still nothing. But then she saw it. The blinds in the living room were twisted awkwardly. The door was locked. And on the porch, Jenna's keys, sitting right next to her purse. A cold panic began to crawl up Amelia's spine. She called Jenna's phone. No answer. Called again. Voicemail. That's when she called the police. March 4th, 10:42 a.m. When Officer Ray Harmon and Officer Lisa Paxson arrived, they didn't immediately suspect foul play. A missing person call wasn't unusual, especially not in messy custody cases. But when Amelia insisted, "She wouldn't leave without telling me. She texted me last night. She said he's coming." She never followed up. That changed everything. They knocked. No answer. They circled the house. No movement. They called for backup and got a warrant. And then they went in. Inside the Morris house. The door creaked open into silence. No screaming. No crying. No sign of struggle at first. But then, the coffee table had been flipped. A shattered glass lay under the couch. One lamp was knocked over. A faint smear of something dark led from the living room to the hallway. And then they noticed it. In the kitchen, Lily's small pink backpack still sitting by the door, untouched. Inside it, her lunchbox, a sandwich half-prepped, her math workbook, all signs that she was supposed to go to school the next day. But Jenna's bed was unmade. Her robe still hung on the hook. Her car was in the driveway. She had never left. Upstairs in Lily's room, the covers were pulled back, as if someone had lifted her out of bed in a hurry. Detective Daniel Price arrived on scene 2 hours later and surveyed the layout with a cold, practiced eye. No forced entry. No signs of a break-in. "She let him in," he muttered. He spotted the final message on Jenna's phone, left unlocked by the couch. "He's coming." He asked Amelia, "Who's he?" She didn't even blink. Tyler West, her ex-husband. Detective Price's report excerpt. Victim Jenna Morris, age 32, and her daughter Lily Morris, age 8, are currently missing. Signs of a possible domestic abduction. Ex-husband Tyler West has prior charges for domestic violence and harassment. A restraining order was filed 6 months prior. The last known text message from the victim indicated fear and anticipation of an imminent visit. He's coming. Brookhaven wasn't the kind of place where things like this happened. It was a peaceful Atlanta suburb, the kind of neighborhood where lawnmowers hummed on Saturday mornings, kids raced bikes down cul-de-sacs, and neighbors left their doors unlocked while walking their dogs. Families knew each other by name. Mail carriers waved at every porch. But on March 4th, as word began to spread, everything shifted. Police cruisers blocked the entrance to Elmwood Lane. Yellow tape lined the Morris property. Neighbors huddled in groups on sidewalks, whispering with wide eyes and hushed voices. "Did you hear? Jenna's missing. And her little girl gone, too." I saw a cop carry out her daughter's backpack. Mrs. Callahan, Jenna's next-door neighbor, stood on her porch gripping a mug of lukewarm coffee, watching as detectives and forensic teams combed through the house next door. "I heard her scream," she whispered to the officer taking her statement. "Just once. Around 8. I thought it was a TV. God help me. I thought it was a TV." Detective Daniel Price, 48 years old, with the eyes of a man who had seen too much, walked through the Morris home again, this time slower. The house wasn't ransacked. No signs of a robbery. No shattered windows. The back door was locked from the inside. Lily's tiny sneakers sat neatly by the hallway. The TV was still on, the screen frozen on the Netflix menu. This wasn't a home invasion, he told Officer Harmon. This was personal. Down the street, security camera footage was being reviewed. The Johansons, 3 doors down, had a Ring camera set up above their garage. At 7:38 p.m. the night before, it captured a dark vehicle slowly driving past the Morris house. Once, twice. At 7:41 p.m., the car stopped directly in front of Jenna's driveway. The driver never exited. The car lights dimmed. It sat there for nearly 5 minutes, then backed up and disappeared into the night. By 10 p.m., the house was dark. Back at the precinct, Amelia sat stiffly in a metal chair, wrapped in a hoodie, her eyes puffy and red. Detective Price leaned forward. "You said she texted you last night. Did you call her back?" "I did. I called twice. No answer. When did you last see her in person?" 2 days ago. We had coffee. She looked tired, jumpy. Did she say Tyler had been bothering her again?" "She didn't have to say it. I could see it in her face." Amelia took a shaky breath. She was trying to hold it all together for Lily. She was terrified, detective, and she knew she was running out of time. Meanwhile, forensic techs swept the home. No fingerprints other than Jenna's and Lily's. No signs of forced entry. No blood spat in the kitchen. Just a smear, possibly from a hand or knee. A partial footprint at the bottom of the stairs. Men's size 11 boot. Dried mud. In Jenna's bedroom, something strange. Her closet door was open. Inside, a duffel bag half-packed. Inside the bag, documents, Lily's birth certificate, a passport, and a stack of cash. Almost $3,000 in bills. Price stared at the scene. She was planning to run. At 3:12 p.m., Tyler West was officially listed as a person of interest. Not yet a suspect, but he was now the center of their search. Price stared out the window at the cul-de-sac. Peaceful, quiet, unassuming. Funny, he murmured to himself. These are the streets people think are safe until they aren't. A drone camera rises slowly above the neighborhood. Quiet homes, swing sets in yards, cars parked in driveways. But one house, the Morris home, now marked with yellow crime scene tape, and a neighborhood holding its breath, because beneath the calm surface, something dark had seeped in. Detective Daniel Price stood in the middle of Jenna Morris's living room. To the untrained eye, it looked mostly ordinary, just slightly disheveled, maybe the aftermath of a rushed evening. But Price had spent 22 years reading the truth between coffee mugs, remote controls, and the way curtains hung just wrong. And something about this room screamed. He crouched next to the coffee table. It was flipped on its side, one leg cracked. A wine glass shattered beneath it. Red liquid, wine or blood, had soaked into the beige carpet. The stain was still slightly damp. A smudge of the same color trailed toward the hallway, maybe 3 feet long. It was the only real sign of struggle in the entire house. No screaming neighbors. No forced entry. No alarm triggered. And yet, somehow, 2 people had vanished. On the couch, a beige throw pillow with a single reddish smear. Next to it, Jenna's phone. Screen shattered, case cracked, but still functional. Price turned it over. On the screen, one new message sent. He's coming. The timestamp, 7:42 p.m. No reply. No outgoing calls after that. No incoming messages. Just silence. And then, Price noticed something chilling. The text hadn't been typed in Jenna's typical manner. She usually ended messages with emojis, sometimes a period. This one? No punctuation. Just raw panic. And it was sent from her locked phone, but no fingerprint had been registered on it recently. Could she have dropped it while running? Officer Paxton asked. Price shook his head. Or it was yanked from her hand mid-message, but she managed to hit send. That would mean he was already in the house when she typed it, next to the kitchen counter. Price spotted something even stranger. A small, yellow Lily school folder, open. Inside, a coloring page half finished with crayons. A note with her teacher's handwriting. Please sign and return. The folder was open, as if Lily had been doing homework just before something happened. She never made it to bed, Price whispered. He turned toward the stairs. Upstairs, Lily's room was undisturbed. Covers turned down. Her bunny still on the pillow. Downstairs told a real story. Forensics called out from the hallway. We found hair strands on the carpet. One with a blood tip. Brown, likely adult female. And this? The text said, pointing toward the wall behind the couch. A faint handprint. Small, palm pressed flat in red. As if someone had braced themselves before falling. Jenna? Was she hit? Dragged? No shell casings. No knife. No weapon at all. Just chaos captured in motion. And then nothing. Price sat on the edge of the couch and let the silence press in. He pictured it like a movie playing in reverse. Jenna on the couch, maybe texting Amelia. A noise. The back door creaks. She looks up, heart pounding. He's coming. She sends the message. He's already in the house. She runs, grabs Lily. A struggle, a fall, a smear of blood, a scream heard by the neighbor. Then darkness. But one thing still didn't make sense. Where were the bodies? People don't just vanish without a trace. Not in the middle of a suburb. Not without dragging something out. Not without being seen. No footprints. No tire tracks. Unless he walked them out, Price said aloud. What? Paxton asked. He walked them out. Maybe at gunpoint. Maybe Lily was already taken. Maybe Jenna followed willingly to protect her. The camera from 3 doors down caught the car outside, but it never saw anyone get in. A blind spot. And perhaps that blind spot was everything. By evening, they brought in cadaver dogs. They sniffed along the hallway, up the stairs, into the backyard. One stopped near the garden, whined, sat down, but no confirmed hit. The house was logged, evidence tagged, and then as the last tech packed up, Detective Price took one last look around. He stood at the edge of the hallway and stared into the dim room. The wine on the carpet, the toy on the floor, the couch still slightly warm from the day before, and the words echoed in his head again. He's coming. Outside the Morris house, dusk fell again. Porch lights flicked on across the neighborhood. Life moved forward, barely. But one home remained sealed by tape and fear. And inside, the walls whispered what they couldn't say aloud. She knew. She tried. And now she was gone. March 5th, 7:03 a.m. Fulton County Sheriff's Office. Missing Persons Division. The official report was filed just after sunrise. 2 names, 2 lives, 1 form. Jenna Elise Morris, 32. Lily Grace Morris, 8. Classification: endangered missing. Status: last seen March 3rd, 7:42 p.m. The paperwork was clinical, dry, devoid of the emotion that throbbed behind every line. It didn't capture Jenna's smile or Lily's giggles. It didn't capture the fear in a final text message or the desperation in a sister's voice. But it set the wheels in motion. Detective Price placed the form on the desk and exhaled through his nose. This wasn't just a missing persons case. This was a ticking clock. Across town, Amelia sat curled on her couch, surrounded by news vans and the buzz of unanswered questions. Reporters had already gotten wind of it. Local mother and daughter missing after cryptic text message. The footage of yellow tape and a police dog was plastered across every morning channel. Speculation began to swirl. Domestic violence? Abduction? Murder? None of them said out loud, but everyone thought it. Detective Price briefed the task force. "Here's what we know," he said, standing in front of a crime board now covered with photos of Jenna, Lily, and Tyler West. Jenna and Lily disappeared with no signs of a break-in. There's a restraining order filed against Tyler 6 months ago. He violated it once, showed up at Jenna's work. No charges were pressed, but she kept records. She kept emails and voicemails. He clicked a button on a laptop. An audio file played. Voicemail from Tyler, February 16th. "You don't get to keep her from me, Jenna. She's my daughter. You think the court's gonna protect you forever? I know where you live." A silence settled over the room. "He's escalating," Price said quietly. "And now she's gone." The press release went out by noon. Missing person alert, Amber Alert issued. Jenna Morris, 32, and her daughter Lily Morris, 8, were last seen at their home in Brookhaven, Georgia, on the evening of March 3rd. Jenna is approximately 5 feet 6 inches, 135 pounds, brown hair, hazel eyes. Lily is 4 feet 2 inches, 60 pounds, light brown hair, brown eyes. The child is believed to be in danger. If you have any information, call the Fulton County Sheriff's Office. And with that, the public joined the hunt. Tips began to pour in, some useless, some disturbing. A gas station clerk said he saw a man dragging a kid into a black SUV near Route 12. A woman in Decatur reported hearing a child screaming in a motel. A trucker reported seeing a girl cry in the back seat of a tan sedan. Each tip was investigated. None led to Jenna or Lily. Every dead end chipped away at Amelia's hope. Meanwhile, Tyler West was nowhere to be found. A wellness check at his apartment revealed an empty unit, mail stacked by the door. His landlord said he hadn't paid rent in 2 months. His car? Missing. It was as if Tyler had disappeared. Right along with him. The more Price dug, the more disturbing the picture became. Jenna had documented every interaction with Tyler over the past year. She had created a folder titled Just in Case. Inside it, screenshots of text messages, voicemails threatening custody retaliation, photos of bruises, a handwritten note. If anything ever happens to me, it was him. That single line chilled Price to the bone. She had known. She had felt it coming. Amelia sat in Jenna's bedroom that night, staring at a picture on the dresser. Jenna and Lily on the beach, wind in their hair, frozen in laughter, so alive, and now gone. She clutched the photo to her chest and whispered through tears, "You were trying to protect her. You gave up everything to protect her. And still he found you." The digital amber alert blinks across phones and highway signs. Lily's face, Jenna's smile, a reward offered, a desperate city watching. But behind every shared post and flashing alert is a gut-wrenching truth. They didn't just vanish. They were taken. And whoever took them is still out there, before the headlines, before the search parties, before the text message that echoed like a death knell. Jenna Morris was just a woman trying to live a quiet life. Not perfect, not flashy, but grounded in love. She grew up 2 hours north in Dalton, Georgia, the second of 3 daughters. Her father, a soft-spoken electrician, taught her how to wire a lamp before she could spell circuit. Her mother was the neighborhood's go-to babysitter, warm, attentive, never judgmental. That's where Jenna got it from. That instinct to protect, to nurture, to notice the small things. Even as a child, she was the kind of person who noticed when someone fell out of place, who'd offer her snack to the shy kid, who'd stay after school to clean up even if no one asked. Quiet strength. In college, she majored in early childhood education, not because it paid well, not because it was easy, but because children tell the truth with their eyes, she once said. Jenna was the kind of teacher parents fought to have for their kids. At Brookhaven Elementary, Room 14 was filled with construction paper stars, motivational quotes, and pictures drawn by students. Miss Jenna sat cross-legged on rugs during reading time. She bought lunch for kids who couldn't afford it. She stayed late grading papers by hand. refusing to let algorithms replace compassion. She loved children, but she loved Lily most of all. Lily Grace Morris was born on a stormy night in June, 8 years ago, after 17 hours of labor in a delivery room that stank of rubbing alcohol and fear. Tyler wasn't there. He was supposed to be, but he had taken a job out of town last minute and couldn't get off. That was the beginning of the end. Jenna met Tyler West at 25 during a summer barbecue at her cousin's house. He was charismatic, clean-cut, funny, the kind of man who could charm your mom and borrow your car in the same hour. He said all the right things. "I've never met someone like you. You make me want to be a better man. I think I could love you." And maybe he did, for a while. But love from Tyler came with strings, with rules, with suspicion and control. It started small. "You text your ex about the baby shower? That's weird. Why do you always wear that perfume when you go to work? Don't be dramatic, Jenna. You're making things up again." Then it escalated. Holes punching walls. Nights where Lily had to fall asleep in her mother's arms as muffled yelling shook the floor. Locked phones. Fake apologies. Isolation. By Lily's 4th birthday, Jenna had stopped inviting friends over. By her 6th, she was planning her escape. She filed for separation when Lily was 7. Tyler didn't take it well. He fought for custody, not because he wanted to be a father, but because it gave him leverage, control, and even after the restraining order, he found ways to crawl back into her life. But Jenna was strong. She never let her daughter see her break. Every morning, she'd braid Lily's hair, pack her lunch, kiss her forehead, and whisper, "The world is big, baby, but you are braver." She worked weekends. She tutored after school. She took therapy sessions on her lunch breaks. She rebuilt herself, brick by brick. Everyone around her saw the change. Her sister Amelia said she finally started breathing again. Her co-worker Layla said she had plans, real plans. She wanted to take Lily to Disney this summer. Her principal said we were about to promote her to head of early development. She earned it. She had hope again, until the day she felt it crack. A week before she disappeared, Jenna told her therapist, "I keep feeling like I'm being watched, like he's circling again. I'm trying not to fall into old fear, but it's different this time. It's quieter." Her therapist noted in the chart, patient reports growing fear, states he's escalating again, recommend alerting authorities if contact occurs. But Jenna had done that before. The system had failed her before. And this time, she didn't want to run to the police. She wanted to run with Lily. She began packing the duffel, collecting cash, setting a quiet plan in motion. She didn't tell anyone, not even Amelia, because she knew, if he finds out we're leaving, he'll kill me. In her bedroom sits an open journal. One page, near the back, reads in delicate, cursive handwriting, "I don't want to be a headline. I don't want to be another woman people shake their heads at while saying she should have seen it coming. I see it coming. I just don't know how to stop it." March 1st, 8:02 a.m., Monday morning. It started like any other week. Jen arrived at Brookhaven Elementary early, a to-go coffee in hand and Lily bouncing at her side. Her smile was tight. Her eyes ringed with exhaustion, but she waved at parents, helped Lily with her backpack, and went straight into her classroom. But Layla, her co-teacher and closest friend, noticed something different. She kept looking at the window, like she was waiting to see something, or someone. Layla later told detectives she wasn't paranoid, just hyper-aware. During lunch, Jen admitted she hadn't slept well. He called me again, from a blocked number, said nothing, just breathed, then hung up. Layla leaned in. "Have you told the police?" "I've told them everything. But unless he touches me, they don't touch him." Jenna sighed. "I feel like I'm drowning, and nobody's throwing me a rope." March 1st, 10:17 p.m., that night. Jenna was up late Googling bus tickets, border laws, and shelters in Tennessee. Her internet history showed, can you cross state lines with a child if there's a custody agreement? How to start over anonymously. Emergency cash aid for single moms. How to disappear with your child legally. She also browsed listings for a small cabin for rent in rural Asheville. One listing was favorited. March 2nd, Tuesday. At school, Jenna asked the front office the following Friday off. "I need personal time," she said. "Family emergency." No one questioned it. Jenna never asked for time off, ever. That evening, she stopped by her sister Amelia's house to drop off Lily's Girl Scout forms. They sat on the porch drinking lukewarm tea and watching Lily chase Amelia's dog in circles. Jenna looked calm, almost too calm. "You okay?" Amelia asked. Jenna hesitated, then nodded. "I think I'm close to being free. I just need a few more days. Can you keep your phone close this week?" "Of course. No matter what time I call." "Jenna, what's going on?" She didn't answer. She just hugged her sister tightly and whispered, "If something happens, don't let them forget I tried." March 3rd, the last day. Morning. Jenna drove Lily to school. They stopped for donuts. Lily got the pink sprinkle one, like always. Surveillance footage from the shop shows them laughing. Jenna playfully wiped frosting from Lily's cheek. To the outside world, they were just another mom and daughter. But Jenna's eyes darted to the windows 3 times in that 6-minute video. Something was off. Afternoon, 2:42 p.m. School let out. Jenna picked Lily up and went home. Amelia texted her, "Want to do dinner tonight?" Jenna replied, "Can't. Packing some stuff." Rain check. That was the last text Jenna ever sent, besides the final one. Evening, 6:30 p.m. Jenna cooked Lily's favorite, mac and cheese with broccoli. They watched Finding Nemo on the couch. Lily fell asleep before the movie ended. At 7:30 p.m., a neighbor reported seeing a dark car slowly cruising past a house. At 7:38 p.m., Ring footage captured the car stopping outside Jenna's home. At 7:42 p.m., Jenna texted her sister, "He's coming." No messages after that. No calls. No witnesses. No noise, except one faint scream heard next door. Detective Price laid out the entire 72-hour timeline on a whiteboard. Each pin represented a breadcrumb. Each timestamp a shadow. Each event a warning no one heard in time. "She was preparing to run," he muttered. And he knew it. Officer Paxton frowned. "How?" "Because this wasn't spontaneous. It was calculated. And that car didn't just stumble across her street at 7:38 p.m. It was watching her all day." The ex-husband, where we reveal Tyler West's background, his charming mask, and the psychological torment he inflicted on Jenna. Tyler James West was the kind of man who made first impressions count. He wore designer cologne and button-down shirts with crisp collars. He held doors open. He complimented strangers. He smiled easily, and often, too often, people liked him. Women trusted him. Judges listened to him. But the people who truly knew Tyler West understood something else. That his smile was a weapon. That charm wasn't kindness. It was control. Born in Mobile, Alabama, Tyler was the oldest of 3 brothers. His mother worked long shifts at a diner. His father, when he was around, had fists for words. Tyler learned early how to adapt. He could read moods in seconds. He knew when to play sweet and when to explode. He learned that tears could win sympathy, that threats could win silence, and that silence could be deadly. By 16, he was skipping school, hustling girls, and breaking into garages. By 18, his juvenile record was sealed. He moved to Atlanta in his 20s with a clean slate and a charming smile. And that's where he met Jenna Morris. At first, their relationship was a whirlwind. Dinner dates, spontaneous road trips, flowers sent to her classroom just because. He made her feel seen, protected, wanted. But beneath that tenderness was an agenda. Jenna once told Amelia, "He didn't fall in love with me. He fell in love with what I gave him. Attention, obedience, admiration. And when I stopped feeding him, he got hungry for control." The first red flag came 6 months in. He accused her of cheating after she stayed late at a parent-teacher conference. Yelled for hours, then cried and begged for forgiveness. "I'm broken, baby, but you make me whole." She forgave him. Then it happened again, And again, by the time she got pregnant with Lily, the cycle was in full motion. Jenna kept journals. Price later found them in a sealed box under her bed. He told me I'd be nothing without him. He threatened to take Lily away if I ever left. He slapped me for raising my voice. I didn't realize I had. She tried couples therapy. He laughed it off, said therapists were liars, and she was too emotional to think straight. Still, she stayed. For Lily, for hope, for fear. Then came the 911 call. September 14th, 2023, 1:18 a.m. My name is Jenna Morris. I need help. My ex just kicked to my door. My daughter's upstairs. Please hurry. He's screaming at me, and I think he's drunk. When police arrived, Tyler was gone. Jenna refused to press charges, but she did file a restraining order. That was the beginning of her freedom. Tyler was enraged. He called her 57 times in one night. He threatened to take Lily somewhere she'd never be found. He stalked her outside her job, sometimes just sitting in his car, watching. Jenna documented everything. But Tyler was clever, calculated, careful. He never left fingerprints. Never said enough to be arrested. Always just on the edge of the law. Detective Price reviewed Tyler's record. 2 prior restraining orders from ex-girlfriends, both dropped. Allegations of stalking in 2018, no charges filed. 1 domestic disturbance call in 2019, mutual verbal altercation, no convictions. On paper, Tyler West was a clean man, but Price saw it clearly. This is a man who knows how to walk between the raindrops. And now, Tyler was missing. No activity on his bank cards. No calls from his phone. No vehicle sighted. Vanished, just like Jenna and Lily. But Price wasn't fooled. This isn't a disappearance, he said. This is an ambush. Planned, executed, and he's not done yet. Back at Amelia's house, she dug through a storage bin looking for old photos of Jenna and Lily. Tucked between scrapbooks was a Christmas card from 2 years prior. Tyler stood beside Jenna, his hand on her shoulder. He was smiling. Jenna wasn't. Amelia stared at the image, her voice barely a whisper. She looked like a hostage, not a wife. Courtrooms are supposed to protect the vulnerable. But for Jenna Morris, the courtroom became just another place where her abuser wore a suit and smiled like a victim. The legal system turned her trauma into a negotiation. And Tyler West? He turned it into a game. It began with paperwork. 6 months after Jenna filed for separation, she served Tyler with joint custody papers, asking for primary custody, supervised visitation, and a formal agreement on child support. She thought it was fair, measured, reasonable. But Tyler didn't want shared custody. He wanted power. So he retaliated with his own petition. I want 50-50 custody. I want access without restrictions. She's manipulating my child. And just like that, he pulled Jenna back into his world. In court, he was polished, rehearsed, slick. He wore pressed slacks, nodded at the judge, referred to Jenna as Miss Morris with syrupy tone that masked years of abuse. He told the court she was unstable, that she was keeping his daughter from him out of spite, that she had emotional problems and was obsessed with control. He even brought character witnesses, a former co-worker who hadn't spoken to him in years, a former landlord who said Jenna seemed cold. He cried on the stand, told stories of Lily's first steps, bedtime routines he missed deeply, and how he just wanted what's best for his daughter. Jenna, by contrast, looked exhausted. Her voice shook as she described being stalked, threatened, choked once in their kitchen. But without police reports or visible scars, the court struggled to see what she had survived. The judge granted a temporary custody order. Jenna retained primary custody. Tyler received weekend visits, unsupervised. Exchanges were to be done in public places. A court monitor would review both parents monthly. Amelia was furious. They gave him keys to her life. After everything. Jenna just nodded, numb. I told them. I gave them everything. They still think he's just difficult. They don't understand he's a ticking bomb. Over the next few months, Tyler used those weekends like weapons. He refused to return Lily on time, once keeping her overnight without notice. He told Lily lies about her mother. She doesn't want you to love me. He questioned Jenna's parenting in front of their child. And once, he sent Jenna a photo of Lily crying in the back seat with a message. She wants to stay with me. You're breaking her heart. Lily started changing. She had more nightmares. She became clingy before Tyler's weekends. She asked questions like, "Why don't you want me to see Daddy? Are you mad at me for loving him? What if he doesn't bring me back next time?" Jenna documented everything. She wrote down every missed call, every delayed exchange, every shift in Lily's behavior. She filed 2 motions to amend custody. Both were denied. The court said there wasn't sufficient evidence of emotional harm or risk. No bruises, no hospital visits, number 911 calls. But Jenna felt the danger. She once told her therapist, "It's like he's using Lily as a hostage with visitation rights. He knows I can't breathe when she's with him." And yet, she had no legal grounds to fight back, because Tyler knew how to operate within the rules. He didn't scream in public. He didn't hit when cameras were on. He made himself just believable enough to get the benefit of the doubt. One afternoon, Jenna confided in her co-worker Layla. "He told me, the system won't protect you, but it will help me bury you if you run." "What did you say?" "Nothing, because he's right." Amelia later testified to what Jenna said 2 weeks before the disappearance. "I'm not scared of dying. I'm scared that one day Lily won't come back, and no one will believe it until it's too late." Detective Price read the custody file, his hands tightening into fists. He used the court to keep his hands on her throat without touching her once. Then came the most chilling document in Jenna's folder. A handwritten letter, unmailed, titled, "To the judge, in case I'm ever gone. Your Honor, if you're reading this, it means I've disappeared or been harmed. I want you to know I tried. I filed reports. I gave you my truth. But Tyler West is a master at making chaos look like care. And if something happens to me, please, for the love of God, protect my daughter, because he won't just break her heart. He'll break her spirit." March 6, 2025, 8 p.m. WATL 11 Live News special broadcast. The disappearance of Jenna and Lily Morris. Amelia Morris sat in the studio under warm lights, but she felt cold. She had done the makeup, smoothed her blouse, brushed her hair, but nothing could hide the tremble in her voice or the storm in her chest. Across from her sat veteran anchor Tasha Reynolds, known for her tough but compassionate interviews. She spoke softly, respectfully, because this wasn't news to Amelia. This was blood. "Tasha, Amelia, thank you for being here during what I can only imagine is an impossible time. Let's start with what matters most. What do you want the public to know about your sister?" Amelia, voice shaking, "Jenna was the best mom I've ever seen. She wasn't perfect, but she was real, loving, protective. She built her entire world around Lily. Everything she did was for her. Everything." The screen cut to footage of Jenna at a school play, smiling in the front row, clapping furiously as Lily waved from stage. Then a birthday party video. Jenna lifting Lily, spinning her, both laughing. That kind of laugh that feels like home. "Tasha, when did you know something was wrong?" Amelia, "Honestly, I think I always knew, ever since Tyler entered her life. He was charming on the surface, but behind closed doors he controlled everything." She took a breath. The scariest part? He never laid a finger on her where anyone could see, but he broke her from the inside out. "Tasha, did she ever tell you she was in danger?" Amelia, "Yes, so many times. She said, if anything happens to me, it was him. Not maybe, not possibly. She knew." Amelia described the final week before the disappearance. Jenna had grown increasingly anxious. She was packing things in secret, selling jewelry, withdrawing cash, checking the blinds, locking the doors twice, always glancing over her shoulder. Amelia, she told me she was close to leaving, that she just needed a few more days to vanish. "Tasha, Did she seem scared? Amelia? No. She seemed resigned. That's what haunts me. Like she had accepted that she might not make it, but she was going to try anyway, for Lily. Then came the moment that broke the city's heart. Tasha leaned forward, her voice low. Tasha, you were the last person she texted. What did she say? Amelia closed her eyes. Tears began to fall, slowly. Amelia, she said, he's coming. That's all. Nothing else. Just, he's coming. The newsroom fell into silence. Tasha reached across the table and gently placed a hand on Amelia's. Tasha, do you believe she's still alive? Amelia, pause. I think if she could fight, she fought. If she could protect Lily, she did. But I think she knew this was coming. She knew the system wouldn't save her. She knew he would eventually stop pretending and start hunting. The interview ended with a direct appeal. If you've seen Tyler West, if you've seen a black 2014 Dodge Charger, if you've seen anything, please call the hotline. Do it for Jenna. Do it for Lily. Do it before another mother's last words go unheard. That night, the station received over 130 tips. One woman claimed to have seen a man matching Tyler's description in a rest stop near Chattanooga. Another caller said she recognized him from a small motel in Birmingham. A truck driver claimed he passed a car matching the description near the state line, with a child in the back. None of the tips were confirmed, but one detail kept repeating. He looked like he was on the run. Detective Price watched the interview alone in his office. When it ended, he stood, walked over to the evidence board, and stared at the center photo. Jenna and Lily, smiling together at a fall festival. Price muttered, "She didn't die quiet. She sent a message, and I'm going to hear it." March 7th, 2025, 6:34 a.m. Fulton County Cyber Forensics Lab. The room buzzed with fluorescent light and tension. Detective Daniel Price stood behind two forensic techs as they stared at a triangulated map on a massive screen. At the center, a pulsing red flickered just southeast of the city. "That's where her phone died," the lead technician said. The signal stopped at 7:58 p.m. on March 3rd, 13 minutes after she texted, "He's coming." The location? An abandoned industrial district near the outskirts of Atlanta. A cluster of rusted buildings, derelict factories, vacant lots overgrown with weeds and secrets. But one building stood out, a rundown warehouse, once used for storing auto parts, long since forgotten, privately owned, no listed tenants, utilities inactive since 2020. And yet, Jenna's phone had pinged from inside that building. 9:12 a.m., the warehouse. Detective Price, Officer Paxton, and a full tactical unit approached the structure with weapons drawn and cameras rolling. Broken windows, graffiti-scrawled walls, a metal door, slightly ajar, creaking in the wind. "If she was taken here, it wasn't random," Price muttered. "This was planned." Inside, dust hung thick in the air. Footprints marked the dirt-covered floor. Some recent, and then they saw it. Jenna's phone, shattered in the corner behind a rusted toolbox. Screen cracked, case bent, still warm enough to trigger a trace 48 hours earlier. Nearby, Lily's tiny pink backpack, still zipped, untouched. Inside the backpack, a half-eaten granola bar, a drawing of a house with "Mommy and Me" written in crayon, a note, folded twice in Lily's childish handwriting. "Mom said to hide." Those words knocked the air out of everyone in the room. Paxton looked at Price. "You think she was here, watching, waiting?" Price nodded. "I think Jenna told her to hide. And then whatever happened next, she made sure Lily didn't see it." Then came a worse discovery. At the back of the warehouse, a concealed trapdoor, nailed shut, sealed with chains. They pried it open. A wave of rot and mildew hit them like a wall. The cadaver dogs whined. One sat instantly. Below, a dirt floor crawl space. Cramped, cold, and hiding secrets long buried. Inside the crawl space, bones. At least 3 distinct sets. A child's shoe decayed and half buried. Zip ties. A stained mattress torn in half. The silence above ground turned to horror. This wasn't just a holding spot. It was a grave, and not a new one. Forensics later confirmed. The bodies were not Jenna or Lily, but they were victims. All female, all presumed dead for at least 2 to 5 years. Suddenly, the case shifted. Jenna and Lily were missing, but now, they weren't just hunting a man. They were chasing a monster. Ownership records for the warehouse pointed to one name, Joel West, Tyler's cousin, registered owner, criminal record sealed. Detective Price felt the pieces locking into place. Tyler was a planner, Joel was the enforcer, and Jenna had walked into their trap. "They've used this place before," Price said coldly. "They thought she'd disappeared just like the others." Outside the warehouse, Amelia stood behind the crime scene tape, watching. When Price approached her, she didn't cry. She only asked, "Was Lily there?" "Yes," he said softly. "But we believe Jenna hid her, protected her. She bought time." Amelia clenched her fists. "Then we owe it to them not to waste it." The warehouse was supposed to be empty. That's what the city records said. That's what the tax documents showed. And that's what the neighbors believed. Just another forgotten structure decaying at the edge of the industrial district. But Detective Daniel Price knew better now. This wasn't just an abandoned building. This was a hunting ground, a burial site, a secret Tyler West and his cousin Joel had kept hidden until Jenna Morris disappeared. March 8th, Fulton County Coroner's Office. The remains retrieved from the crawlspace were tagged as Jane Doe 1, 2, and 3. Forensic anthropologists began working immediately. All female, ages estimated between 19 and 30. Time of death ranged from 2 to 5 years prior. Cause of death? Undetermined, but trauma to the skull and ribs suggested blunt force injuries. None had ID, but one wore a bracelet, faded, tarnished, still legible beneath grime and blood. To Maddie Love, Mom. Detective Price ran the name. It took less than an hour. Madeline Maddie Triggs, age 23. Reported missing in 2021. Last seen leaving a party near Decatur. And guess who she was once dating? Tyler West. Price called Maddie's mother. When he mentioned the bracelet, her voice broke. She never took it off. "I gave it to her the day she graduated high school." She told police she always suspected foul play, but Maddie's case went cold after 2 months. She said Tyler had denied knowing her well. He told police they only dated once or twice. Said she ghosted him. But I knew something wasn't right. Maddie was strong, but she was trusting. She believed people like Tyler could be saved. Now, her body was beneath a warehouse floor, and her killer had remained free until he came back for Jenna. Joel West, Tyler's cousin, was a registered owner of the property. He hadn't been seen in nearly 3 weeks. No utilities on, no bank transactions, no phone activity. But that changed when forensic teams dusted the warehouse walls. In faded black marker, written on one of the beams, "No one ever listens to screaming. JW." And beside it, crudely scratched into the wood, "She fought harder than the others." Inside a padlocked locker at the back of the building, they found a roll of duct tape, several plastic tarps, and used zip ties and chains. An old Sony camcorder, dead battery. When charged, the camcorder revealed 2 chilling videos. One was dated September 2021. The footage showed Maddie, tied, crying, begging. Tyler's voice was in the background, low, mocking. The second video was blank, but time-stamped March 3rd, 2025, the day Jenna disappeared. Price watched the footage in silence. He had seen horrors before. But this was a trophy room. This was ritualized violence. He had no doubt now. Tyler West wasn't just angry. He was a predator. And Joel? He was the accomplice who kept the monster fed. Price issued a statewide warrant for Joel West's arrest. He also changed the scope of Jenna's case. From missing person to suspected serial homicide. Back at the warehouse, cadaver dogs began sniffing the grounds beyond the building. Behind a stack of rusted tires, they found a shallow grave. Inside, A box. And in that box, something unthinkable. Children's shoes. A torn, bloodied stuffed bunny. A small pink hair clip, matching a photo of Lily from her school picture. But no body. Price stood over the box, heart pounding. "He's taunting us," he said quietly. "He wants us to think she's dead, but he's too careful to leave her here." March 9th, 2025, 6:14 a.m. Fulton County Evidence Lab. Detective Daniel Price stared at the small scrap of notebook paper resting beneath a forensic lamp. It had been found wedged deep in the seam of Lily's pink backpack, folded tight, hidden like a secret meant only for the right eyes. The writing was smeared in places, but still legible. One side had Lily's handwriting. Mom said to hide. But the other side was Jenna's. The ink was hurried, the slant of her cursive uneven. "If this is found and Lily isn't with me, please don't stop looking. She's alive. He doesn't want her hurt. He wants to hurt me. Follow the lilies. Jenna." Detective Price read it 3 times before speaking. "Follow the lilies?" Officer Paxton frowned. "Her daughter's name?" Price shook his head. "Maybe, but Jenna wasn't being poetic. She was being strategic." He tapped the paper. "She left us a trail." Later that morning, Amelia sat at the precinct, staring at a photo of the note. Tears welled in her eyes as she whispered, "Lilies, they were her favorite flower. She planted them everywhere, at her old apartment, at the school garden, even in her car air freshener. She always had lilies." Price stood by the crime board, drawing connections. 3 photos. Jenna's house, Brookhaven Elementary. The warehouse. Each location had one thing in common: proximity to lilies at her house. Officers confirmed. Lilies were planted by the porch, at her school. Jenna had spearheaded the Hope Garden, a patch of white lilies planted after a student passed away. The garden was gated, but anyone with a key could access it. And at the warehouse, just beyond the chain-link fence, in the back lot overrun by weeds, detectives found a small cluster of lilies, unnatural, planted in a tight, intentional circle. Forensics dug under the flower bed. No bodies, but something buried. A plastic bag, inside of which was a flip phone burner style, wrapped tightly in duct tape. Inside the battery slot, a micro SD card. Back at the lab, Price inserted the card into a secure reader. There were 2 audio files. File 1, Jenna's voice. Whispered, strained. March 3rd, 7:39 p.m. He's in the house. Lily is hiding in the laundry bin. If anyone finds this, I need you to know I'm not running. I'm protecting her. If she's not with me, don't believe I gave up. I didn't. I told her to run if something happened to me. Silence. He said he wouldn't hurt her. I'm trusting that. God help me. I'm trusting that. Click. File 2. A man's voice. Calm. Cold. You always thought you were stronger than me, Jenna, but you were just louder. You made this war, and now I'm ending it. The voice was unmistakable. Tyler West. Price turned to the room. She knew she wouldn't make it out, but she still planned for us to find Lily. He looked at the map. Follow the lilies. That evening, Price drove to Jenna's old apartment complex, where she had lived before moving to the house. In the rear garden, next to the abandoned swing set, was a small patch of white lilies. Price walked the perimeter. There, near the roots, he saw it, a small stuffed bunny, tucked under a bush. Dirty but familiar. He picked it up. Inside the stitching, something hard. He tore the seam. A key, labeled only TR6. Back at headquarters, they traced a number, a storage unit, outside the city, registered in Jenna's name, rented 3 weeks before her disappearance. She had planned a fallback location. March 9th, 2025, 11:12 p.m. Unit TR6, Southern Pine Storage, south of Atlanta. The air was thick with anticipation. Detective Daniel Price held the key Jenna had hidden inside Lily's stuffed bunny. It was still stained with dirt from the lily bed outside her old apartment, but the tag read clearly, TR6. A steel door stood in front of them, a storage unit, just 10 by 10 feet, windowless, silent, but humming with tension. What was behind it? A hiding place? A message? A tomb? Price slid the key into the lock. Click. Squeal. The door rolled upward. Inside the unit, everything was neatly organized. No chaos. No panic. This wasn't a last-minute escape plan. This was a woman preparing for war, stacked along the walls. Non-perishable food in labeled bins. Flashlights, batteries, blankets, first aid kits, water jugs, a child's sleeping bag, pink, with a name tag, Lily, and in the corner, bolted into the cement floor, beneath a rug, a wooden hatch. Officer Paxton's voice broke the silence. Jesus, she built a bunker. Price dropped to one knee and pried open the hatch. A short ladder led downward into darkness. They descended carefully. Flashlights flickered. Dust danced like ghosts in the beam. And then the space opened into a small, insulated underground room, roughly 7 by 7 feet, lined with soundproof foam on the walls. Blankets folded in the corner. A small LED light fixed to the ceiling. And on one wall, written in Jenna's handwriting with black marker, "If you're reading this, she might still be alive." They swept the room for evidence. On the mattress, a journal. Inside the front page, Lily's emergency book. The journal chronicled Jenna's plans, page by page. How to escape. How to teach Lily to recognize danger. What to do if Daddy tries to take you again. Instructions on how to survive in the bunker. A map with several places marked safe and too risky. But then they found the last entry. It was dated the night of her disappearance. March 3rd, 6:10 p.m. Lily had dinner. We packed the car again. I think he knows. He's been circling the street. I don't know if we'll make it to Tennessee tonight, but if he comes before we're gone, I'll get her here. I'll stall him. I just need time. The next page was blank. Paxton swallowed hard. She really thought this through. Price's voice was quiet. She was ready to die, as long as Lily had a chance. They dusted for fingerprints. Confirmed. Jenna, Lily, one unknown male partial, likely Joel West, meaning someone else had been in the bunker, maybe after Jenna, maybe after Lily. But nothing was disturbed. So where were they now? Then came the discovery that chilled them all. Behind the mattress, taped to the wall, a series of photographs. Old, faded, newspaper clippings. All women, missing, vanished, smiling in photos, now just shadows in case files. In the center, Maddie Triggs. Below her, a note in Jenna's handwriting. He's done this before. They didn't believe me, but he keeps souvenirs. Check the cabin. The cabin. A location circled in red on Jenna's hand-drawn map. North Georgia woods. A remote area. No cell service. No neighbors. Previously owned by Tyler's grandfather. Passed down. Now legally registered to Joel West. And suddenly, it all made sense. The warehouse was where they disposed of the victims. But the cabin? That's where they were kept. Price slammed the unit door shut. Gear up. We're heading to the mountains. National Forest, northern Georgia. GPS coordinates. 34.8892 degrees north. 83.7726 degrees west. The convoy came to a slow, calculated stop on a narrow dirt road just before sunrise. 3 black SUVs. 1 unmarked cruiser. 2 K-9 units. The forest swallowed everything. No cell reception. No noise except for the hum of insects and the occasional cracking branch underfoot. Through the trees, barely visible in the gray light, stood an old one-story cabin. Tin roof, smoke-stained chimney, single front porch sagging with age. To most, it looked like the kind of place forgotten by time. But to Detective Daniel Price, it looked like a crime scene waiting to confess. The entry, guns raised, flashlights cutting through shadows. Officers surrounded the property. Atlanta PD, come out with your hands up. No response. They approached slowly. No movement. No dogs. No creaking floorboards. Just stillness. Then Price noticed something. On the doorknob, a thin wire, taut and glinting. Trapped wire, he muttered. He rigged it. They disarmed it and pushed in. The cabin was empty, but the air inside, rotten. The main room, it wasn't a home. It was a holding chamber. Mattress on the floor. Chains bolted to the wall, stained with rust and something darker. A small desk with notebooks and maps. A steel door padlocked from the outside, leading to the basement. And then on the wall, written in black spray paint, "We keep what no one looks for. JW. Basement access." The key from Jenna's storage unit fit the padlock. They opened the door and descended into blackness. The smell worsened. Officers gagged behind masks. Mold, urine, decay, but worse, death. At the bottom, the flashlight beam landed on the ground. Freshly disturbed earth. A shovel in the corner. Plastic sheeting nearby. Half-covered bones poking through the dirt. They called the coroner. Began excavation immediately. What they found beneath the floor: 4 bodies. 2 women, one confirmed via dental records as Emily Chan, reported missing in 2022. 1 woman unidentified, estimated age 27. 1 child, possibly female, around 10 years old. The bones were wrapped in plastic wrap, a signature now being tied to Joel West. On the walls of the basement were dozens of Polaroids, all victims, some bound, some sleeping, some lifeless, all dated, cataloged. In the corner of the basement was a wooden crate. Inside, hair ties, jewelry, stuffed animals, a tiny pink sweatshirt with a butterfly emblem. Amelia, shown the item later, broke into sobs. "That's Lily's. Jenna bought it for her on her 8th birthday." But there was still one more door. A hidden panel behind the fireplace. Sealed tight, when forced open, it revealed a narrow hallway with foam walls, just like the bunker Jenna had built. At the end, a metal door. They broke it open. Inside the hidden room, a small cot, a battery-powered lantern, a coloring book on the floor, open to a page of a house drawn in crayon, an empty juice box, a fingerprint on the wall at child height, Lily's. The room had been recently occupied, but it was empty now. Detective Price stepped into the room, heart pounding. She was here, alive. Paxton looked around. How long ago? Not more than a day, maybe hours. Someone had moved her again. Joel? Tyler? Or had she run? A message was scrawled on the floor with a red marker. "She's mine." No signature, but they didn't need one. Back at the cabin, more chilling discoveries. A burner phone with text sent to a contact listed as T. "Oh, I moved her. Too close. They're coming. Oh, this is your mess. Fix it." A receipt from a gas station in Tennessee, dated 12 hours earlier. Security footage pulled showed Joel West at the pump with a child in the back seat. Still alive. Still moving. March 10th, 2025, 6:47 p.m. Georgia Bureau of Investigation, Central Office. The sun dipped below the horizon as the manhunt intensified. The pieces were finally aligning, and one name kept surfacing like a bad bruise. Joel West, Tyler's cousin, high school dropout, felony record sealed under a juvenile protection order, current owner of the cabin and the warehouse. But until now, he was just a shadow. Now, he was the second confirmed predator in what was quickly becoming a serial criminal case. Joel had always been the quiet one. He didn't draw attention to himself, didn't have social media, didn't hold down jobs for long. He drifted between part-time construction gigs, off-the-books mechanic work, and, according to former neighbors, mostly kept himself until he didn't. He was the kind of man no one remembered clearly, but those who did always remembered a smell, a stare, a chill. Detective Price pulled Joel's sealed juvenile file. It took a court order, but what it revealed shocked even seasoned agents. At age 15, Joel had been charged with the attempted kidnapping of a 7-year-old girl at a summer carnival. The girl's testimony was clear. "He told me he wanted to show me a secret. Then he grabbed my hand and pulled me behind the food trucks." She screamed. A security guard intervened. Joel was arrested. He was never convicted. sent to a youth home, and released quietly after 12 months. The file was buried. The family took care of it. Guess who vouched for him in court? Tyler West. Price stared at the file. Tyler didn't act alone. He cultivated Joel. They were partners. And Joel? He had a type. Young, vulnerable, easy to disappear. Back at the warehouse, forensics ran trace evidence from under the crawl space. Beneath the dirt, they found tiny fibers, baby blue fleece, matched to a missing child's pajamas reported in 2020. A girl named Maya Carlisle, age 6, vanished from her front yard in Alabama. Never found. Guess who was working on a roofing job 3 blocks away that same week? Joel West. Then came the final crack in the case. March 11th, 1:32 a.m. A license plate reader near the Georgia-Tennessee border caught a match. 2012 tan Nissan Xterra, registered under a fake name, but insured by a woman, deceased since 2018. Last seen in the company of Joel West. Time-stamped footage showed the SUV leaving a gas station. Joel was driving. In the back seat, a child-shaped silhouette. Price paused the footage. Zoomed in. There, just for a frame, a pink sleeve with a butterfly. "Lily," he whispered. "She's alive." An APB was immediately issued. Wanted, Joel Michael West. Height, 6 feet 0 inches, 175 pounds. Last seen wearing flannel jacket and jeans. Believed to be armed and dangerous. Driving 2012 tan Nissan Xterra, partial plate, 6XG4. Reward, $50,000 for information leading to his arrest. But Price didn't wait for tips. He retraced Joel's past movement patterns. He always used back roads, preferred border states, had a habit of circling old locations before moving on. And based on the latest receipt, they narrowed it down to a 60-mile radius around Johnson City, Tennessee. The breakthrough, at 4:03 a.m., a call came into the tip line from a trucker. "I saw your guy about 30 minutes ago near an old motel off Route 26. He was dragging a little girl by the arm. She didn't look okay." The motel? The Wayfarer Inn. Police raced to the scene. They found Xterra, parked behind the building. Engine warm, empty inside. In the back seat, a juice box, crumbs from goldfish crackers. A coloring book torn down the middle, but no Joel, no Lily, just a handwritten note on the dashboard. "You shouldn't have followed the lilies." March 11th, 2025, 6:21 a.m. Fulton County Homicide Division. The moment the team returned from the Wayfarer Inn empty-handed. Detective Daniel Price did what most investigators forget to do when chasing monsters. He stopped running and started looking backward. Because to catch a man like Joel West, you had to understand what made him, not just what he did, but what he learned, what he believed, and what he was capable of hiding. The childhood files unearthed. It started in Cobb County, Georgia. Joel was the youngest of 4. His father, a Vietnam veteran with untreated PTSD, was rarely sober. His mother, emotionally distant, worked 3 jobs and left the raising of Joel to no one. No structure, no therapy, just rage and survival. At age 10, Joel was suspended for bringing a knife to school. At 12, he was found trying to trap a neighbor's cat in a shoebox. At 14, he set a mattress on fire. No charges, just a phase. At 15, the kidnapping attempt. And yet, he always vanished into cracks. Juvenile record sealed. Parents said, "He's troubled, not dangerous." But someone did take notice. Tyler West. Tyler was already 20 when Joel was 15. Cool, confident. He visited family often and Joel idolized him. He was the first person who gave Joel attention, treated him like an equal, taught him how to stay off the grid, how to be charming, how to lie, how to hurt and make it look like an accident. "You don't have to kill to win," Tyler allegedly told him. "Just disappear the parts of people that matter." The missing women connection. Price pulled records from 2019 to 2023. There were 9 women listed as missing in a 150-mile radius of where Joel and Tyler had been at the time. No bodies ever recovered. All women between 19 to 30. All had either lived alone, been involved in foster care, or had minimal family connections. Several were known to attend group therapy programs Joel's employer had maintenance contracts with. The red string on the crime board practically tied itself. Joel didn't stalk strangers. He stalked the invisible. The surviving witness, Rachel, name changed. In a confidential 2018 interview from a women's shelter in Alabama, a woman claimed, "A man offered me a ride when I missed the bus. He said his name was Jace, but he looked like the guy on the news now, Joel. When I said no, he got weird. Kept saying I owed him a favor. I ran into a gas station, and he sped off." Back then, no one believed her. Now, her description was a perfect match. She was one of the few who got away. Back to Lily, signs of resistance. At the Wayfarer Inn, forensics uncovered tiny fingerprints under the bed frame and inside the bathroom cabinet. Lily had hidden. She'd been there, alive, for hours, and they found something else. Scratched into the underside of the nightstand, using a broken pencil tip. "My name is Lily. I am brave." 6 words. But they hit harder than any punch. She was fighting. She was remembering what her mother taught her. If you're ever taken, leave pieces of yourself behind. Someone will find them. In the motel trash can, a child sock, half of a juice box, and a torn piece of a motel brochure. Price opened it. On the back, in red crayon, "Please find me." Lily had left another breadcrumb. Joel's pattern. The team began to build a psychological profile. Joel mimics control. He copies power. Tyler was the alpha. Joel was the executioner. But now, Tyler's missing and Joel's alone, which means Joel is unstable and dangerous, especially to Lily, because he's not just running now, he's unraveling. March 11, 2025, 11:28 a.m. Price County Sheriff's Department, Tennessee. Detective Daniel Price stood in a dim surveillance room with Sheriff Alden Boone, a heavy-set man with sun-leathered skin and a no-nonsense stare. They were reviewing footage from a Sunoco gas station off Route 41, just 15 miles north of the Wayfarer Inn. Timestamp, March 11th, 3:22 a.m. Just 2 hours after police found the motel abandoned. Joel was still one step ahead. The footage begins. The camera angle was grainy, mounted above the register. It caught the counter, the window to the pumps, and the entry door. At 3:22 and 11 seconds a.m., the bell chimed. Joel West stepped inside. Flannel jacket, greasy jeans, ball cap low. His movements were deliberate, measured, controlled. He picked up a Gatorade, a candy bar, and a cheap burner phone. He said nothing to the clerk, just paid in cash, head down. But at 3:23 and 2 seconds a.m., a small figure appeared behind him in the corner of the frame. Lily. She stood just outside the glass door, wearing the same pink butterfly sweatshirt, barefoot, her arms wrapped tightly around herself. She didn't cry. She didn't speak. But she did look up at the camera, straight into the lens. Zoom in. Pause. Frame by frame. Her eyes weren't wild with fear. They were watchful, focused. And then she did something incredible. She lifted one hand and tapped her chest twice, then pointed to the gas station sign. 2 beats, a direction, a signal. Officer Paxton gasped. She's marking her location. That's the SOS gesture. We taught kids that after the school shootings, tap twice, point to something unique. She knew someone was watching. She was trying to leave a trail. Joel exited seconds later, tossing a receipt. He grabbed her arm, too tight, and led her back to the Xterra. But Lily hesitated. In that split second, she looked over her shoulder and mouthed something. Price leaned in, slowed the footage, enhanced, zoomed. Her lips formed 3 syllables. He's not Tyler. Silence fell across the room. Paxton whispered, "What does that mean?" Price's heart sank. It means maybe Tyler's not with her. Or worse, maybe Tyler's not the one in control anymore. Maybe Joel turned on him. The gas station receipt was retrieved from the clerk's trash, time-stamped and registered to a burner phone, activated at the station, already used once, pinged 10 minutes later in Greenville, Tennessee. That gave them a direction. 10 minutes later, Greenville PD responded to a call. There's a strange man asleep in a parked SUV outside our closed library. There's a girl in the back seat. She looks sick. Police arrived, but the Xterra was gone. Engine fluid on the ground, tire marks, and on the bench outside the library, a hand-drawn note, crayon, torn paper. You are close. He sleeps during the day. It was signed with a flower drawn in the corner, a lily. Price stared at the note in disbelief. She's not just surviving, he said. She's playing the long game. Lily was strategizing, hiding clues, watching Joel's patterns, and waiting for someone to catch up, just like her mother would have taught her. They released the new footage to the press. The clip of Lily looking into the camera and signaling went viral within hours. Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, every platform was ablaze. This little girl is fighting to be found. Look at her eyes. She knows exactly what she's doing. America, find Lily. Joel was now being hunted by more than police. He was being hunted by a nation. March 11, 2025, 10:14 p.m. Jefferson County, Tennessee, remote highway patrol checkpoint. The forested back roads were ghostly quiet until headlights emerged in the distance. An anonymous tip had come in hours earlier. He's heading northeast, probably toward the Smokies, driving at night, alone with a girl. The caller refused to give a name, but the tip was detailed, down to the mile marker. Detective Price authorized an immediate roadblock. 3 cruisers, spike strips, tactical unit in camouflage. They waited. 10:14 p.m., the SUV appeared. A tan Nissan Xterra, creeping along just on the speed limit. Windows fogged. No plates. As the vehicle approached the checkpoint, officers saw movement in the back seat. A child, still, slumped. Price stepped into the open, flashlight raised. Gun drawn. Joel West, hand where I can see them, stopped the vehicle. Joel didn't stop. He gunned it. The pursuit. Tires screamed. The SUV veered left, straight over the spike strip. Rubber shredded. Sparks flew. He drove another quarter mile before losing control and slamming into a ditch. Officers moved in fast. Driver, out of the vehicle. Now! Joel crawled from the driver's side, bleeding from his forehead, but he was laughing. Hands up, grinning. Took you long enough. Then came the sound no one expected, a door unlocking from inside. The back passenger door creaked open, and slowly, shakily, Lily stepped out. She was barefoot, dirty, but alive. Her arms were covered in bruises. Her face, sunken from stress, not food, but she walked on her own, straight into Detective Price's arms, and whispered, I waited, just like Mommy said. Joel West was taken into custody. No resistance, no remorse, just smiles. The monster finally in chains. March 12th, GBI interrogation room. Joel sat cuffed, staring at the one-way glass. He tapped his fingers in rhythm. Unbothered, detached. Detective Price entered. Where's Jenna Morris? Joel tilted his head. Depends what you mean by is. You had her. We found the warehouse. The bodies. The cabin. We found Lily. Now tell me, where's Jenna? Joel leaned forward. She screamed for you. For hours. But no one came. Silence. Then, slowly, Joel added, he made me do it. Who? Tyler. Price froze. So you're saying Tyler's alive? Joel's eyes gleamed. Not just alive. Watching. He's always watching. What followed was a series of chilling confessions. Joel admitted to burying 4 victims beneath the cabin, transporting Lily across 3 states, but claimed he never touched her. I fed her, protected her. She liked me better than her dad. Claimed Tyler gave him the order to take Jenna, but refused to say where she was. That's not my part of the story. Tyler has her now, or what's left. Then came a chilling twist. Joel reached into his pocket during the search. Inside, a crumpled photo. Jenna, bound, eyes bruised, dated March 4th. Timestamp, 2:12 a.m. That was 24 hours after she was taken. And the background? Not the warehouse, not the cabin, but a room investigator hadn't seen yet. White walls, single window, and a poster on the wall, a travel agency logo. They ran the image through a location database. It matched a vacant office building leased years ago to a shell company, owned by Tyler West. Joel is led away in shackles. Reporters swarm outside. Amelia sobs in the hospital waiting room, clutching Lily's hand, and Price pins one final photo on the board. Jenna, alive, after the kidnapping. But the clock is running, because now they know Tyler is still out there, and Jenna may still be alive, but not for long. March 12th, 2025, 4:45 p.m. Fulton County Task Force briefing room. The photo recovered from Joel West, a bruised Jenna Morris bound in a sterile room, set off a frenzy inside law enforcement. It wasn't just proof that Jenna was alive after the kidnapping. It was a taunt, a breadcrumb, and the poster in the background, that travel agency logo. It finally cracked open Tyler West's final layer of lies. The lead came from a property record buried in a network of shell companies. Tyler had used a company called Clear River Ventures LLC to lease an office suite in a remote part of Cherokee National Forest, disguised as a now-defunct luxury fishing lodge. But when the task force dug deeper, they found Clear River had made a final purchase just 4 months earlier, a private cabin, 30 miles north of the Tennessee border, accessible only by foot or ATV, registered under a new alias, Lucas T. Wynn, an anagram of West Links Out. Tyler West wasn't just hiding. He was playing chess. March 13th, 2:17 a.m. Remote mountainside, Appalachian outskirts. A 12-man tactical unit deployed by chopper, guided by GPS coordinates and heat signature drones. Snow lined the ground in patches. Wind cut through branches. The cabin came into view around a bend in the ridge. Log walls, shuttered windows, steel-reinforced door. It was dead silent. No smoke, no movement, no light, until we have heat signatures. One on the second floor, one in the basement. Breaching operation, 2:41 a.m. 4 flashbangs, 2 steel rams. Gas deployed. Police, come out now. No response. Then a scream, faint, from below. Help! Down here, please. Jenna, the basement room. They found her chained to a steel pole, eyes swollen shut, cheeks bruised, one arm bent wrong, possibly broken, but still alive, barely. She whispered one word through bloodied lips. Lily, Paxton knelt beside her. She's safe. She's waiting for you. And for the first time in days, Jenna wept. But Tyler was gone. They searched the attic, the woods, every hiding place. All they found was a cell phone, intentionally left behind, with a single video message saved. Tyler West on camera. His face filled the screen. Calm, clean-shaven, smiling. You found her. Good job. I always knew she was stronger than I gave her credit for. You think you won, but you didn't. Because people like me don't die in jail, we rot in your heads. Tell Lily I said goodbye. Oh, and by the way, there's one more. Video ends. The silence that followed was brutal. What did he mean by one more? Another victim? Another location? Another plan? Back at base, Jenna was airlifted to a trauma hospital. Multiple fractures, dehydration, internal bruising. But the doctors were stunned by one thing. She kept herself alive longer than any woman we've ever pulled from a situation like this. She didn't just survive, she endured. Amelia stood at Jenna's bedside when she opened her eyes. She whispered, "Lily?" Amelia smiled through tears. She waited Jenna, just like you taught her. March 13th, 2025, 9:46 a.m. Tyler West's final hideout, Cherokee National Forest. The cabin sat in eerie silence now. The team had cleared Jenna. The search perimeter was expanding, but Detective Daniel Price wasn't satisfied. He walked slowly through each room, letting the silence speak. This wasn't just a place of torture. It was a stage. Tyler West hadn't just hidden here. He planned here. He watched. He recorded. And as Price peeled back the layers, it became clear this cabin wasn't just a hideout. It was the command center for something bigger. The upstairs bedroom. There, hidden beneath a loose floorboard on the bed, forensics uncovered. A laptop, a sealed manila folder labeled Project Restart, 3 burner phones, a stack of photos. The photos showed women. Not Jenna, not Lily, not Maddie or the other known victims. These were new faces. Unknown, young, all photographed candidly at grocery stores, school parking lots, and gas stations. Stalked, marked, like Jenna once was. Inside the folder, a detailed log. Names, ages, work schedules, social media screenshots, and one note, handwritten in red pen: she'll replace Jenna. Cleaner, quieter, better this time. Price felt sick. He wasn't just looking at evidence of a crime. He was staring into the blueprints of a predator's mind. The surveillance room. In the rear corner of the cabin, behind a false wall, they found it. A surveillance station, monitors, camera feeds, and a server bank with days of recorded footage. Jenna, Lily, Joel, all of it, logged, time-stamped, stored. He'd been watching them for months. And not just in the cabin. There was footage from Jenna's classroom parking lot, Lily's school playground, Amelia's front porch, even Price's own precinct. He's been tracking us the whole time, Paxton whispered. No, Price said coldly. He's been laughing the whole time. The final room, the planning den. On the wall, a map, strings and pins. Each location marked with a Lily sticker. Each sticker representing a victim or a plan. And in the center, a larger photo, Jenna, chained and unconscious. Next to it, scrawled in black Sharpie, she survived, but only because I let her. Then at the foot of the wall, something small and chilling, a pair of brand new children's shoes, still in the box, size 11, a note attached. For the next one, Price stepped back. His hands trembled. He wasn't just going to disappear. He was going to start again. The cabin's final clue. Underneath the surveillance server, a USB stick labeled Insurance. Inside it, encrypted files with a password-protected folder titled The Ones Who Helped. Price's breath caught. This wasn't just Tyler and Joel. There may have been others. Collaborators, enablers, silent partners. And Tyler had kept proof. Back at the hospital, Jenna, still groggy from surgery, asked one question. Did you find the white box? Amelia blinked. What? In the cabin, under the desk. He always locked it. That's where he kept the letters. A search team returned, and they found it, a white locked cash box. Inside, letters. Dozens. From women. Some signed, some anonymous. I never told anyone what he did to me. He said if I left, no one would believe me. I watched him hurt her. I did nothing. One letter read. He said he had a plan. A new girl. She looked like a child. A shocking footage, where the team decrypts the final folder on Tyler's hard drive and uncovers a video that turns the entire investigation on its head. March 14th, 2025, 3:18 p.m. Fulton County Digital Forensics Unit. Secure server room. The air was cold, the lights dim. Detective Daniel Price stood with arms folded as tech experts worked feverishly to decrypt the final encrypted folder recovered from Tyler West's hideout. The label on the folder read, The Ones Who Helped. But the true horror wouldn't come from the names inside. It would come from a video, filed deep within, titled Lark_record_final MOV. No timestamp, no metadata, just one quiet, pixelated thumbnail. And what played next would shake the task force to its core. The screen flickers to life. At first, just static, then a dimly lit room. one overhead bulb, a woman tied to a chair, bruised, gagged, barely conscious. Jenna, but it wasn't the cabin. This was somewhere else. The camera adjusted, and then Tyler West steps into frame. Calm, focused, wearing gloves, holding a phone in one hand and a voice recorder in the other. He smiles at the lens. Let's document the end, shall we? The monologue. Tyler looks into the camera like he's hosting a show. The media loves the word monster. They eat it up, but monsters aren't born. They're made by courts that ignore warnings, by friends who say, that's just how he is, by women who think love is stronger than fear, beat, and by men like me, who learn how to become invisible. He walks around Jenna, who groans weakly. You all thought you were saving her, but she was never yours to save. He lifts Jenna's head. Say goodbye, sweetheart. She spits blood in his face. He laughs. Still got fire. I love that about you. Then the camera cuts. A flash. A change in angle. Now the camera is mounted on the wall. And in the corner, a second figure appears. Masked. Male. Shorter. Slender. Not Joel. Someone else. He stands silently, recording Tyler with a phone. Tyler nods toward him. Make sure it uploads if I don't come back. The footage ends. Price stood frozen, his voice low, shaking with restrained rage. There's someone else. Another partner. Paxton whispered, that's not Joel's frame. Look at the shoes, different build. And Joel didn't have that limp. They rewound the video, watched again. The man's face was never shown, but in one brief frame his wrist was exposed. A tattoo, a familiar one. Match found. The tattoo belonged to Donnie Riles, a former parole officer, suspended in 2022 for misconduct, never charged. He worked with at-risk men in a transitional housing program. The same one Joel West was released through. And there it was, the missing link. The spider's web had more threads than anyone knew. Price turned to the room. He helped them stay off-grid. He wiped records. He let Tyler and Joel operate in plain sight, and he's still out there. Meanwhile, at the hospital, Jenna stirred in her sleep. She'd been unconscious for hours. But when she opened her eyes, she panicked. Where's Lily? Where's the man with the mask? Amelia held her hand. Lily's safe, and the man, we're gonna find him. Jenna stared blankly, her voice brittle. He watched, never spoke, but he was worse than Tyler. He didn't blink. Back in the digital lab, the final seconds of the video played again, and this time they noticed something else. The phone Tyler used during the footage, still active, still online, and GPS metadata, scrubbed but partially restored, revealed one final clue. It had pinged 2 days ago, in Macon, Georgia. Tyler's involvement, where the digital trail leads to Tyler's last confirmed location and a trap that could change everything. March 14th, 2025, 6:50 p.m. Georgia Bureau of Investigation Command Center. Tyler West had vanished into the woods like smoke. But digital footprints, no matter how carefully cleaned, always leave residue. And now, the tech team had found one. The phone he used in the video, it had been traced to a location 2 days earlier. Macon, Georgia. Not a hideout, not a cabin, a public storage unit, registered under the alias Leon Riles, a name that matched the suspected accomplice's brother. March 15th, 2025, 4:19 a.m. Macon Self-Storage, Unit 107. Tactical units surrounded the facility before sunrise. No lights, no movement, but a thermal scan confirmed. One human heat signature inside the unit. Still, Price's stomach turned. Is it him, or is it her? They breach fast. For seconds, flashbang, lock torn, door raised. Inside, a small cot, food wrappers, power cables linked to a hacked solar panel system, a laptop open, and lying flat on the floor, Tyler West, eyes closed, breathing shallow, blood on the floor from a gash across his abdomen. A failed suicide attempt, but he was alive. He opened his eyes as Price approached. And even then, with pain sinking deep into his bones, Tyler smiled. Took you long enough. At the hospital, under 24-hour guard, Tyler was stabilized and moved into a high-security wing. But he refused to speak. To detectives, to doctors, even to his lawyer. Until one person walked into the room. Jenna Morris. She insisted, demanded, signed every waiver, and walked, limping, bruised, wrapped in bandages, into his hospital room. The nurses protested. The legal team objected. But Jenna simply said, "He took my voice for too long. I'm going to use it now." The confrontation. She stood by his bedside. He turned slowly, blinking. "I thought you were smarter than this," Tyler said weakly. "You thought I was afraid," Jenna replied. "And I was, but not anymore." She pulled a photo from her pocket of Lily, smiling, holding a welcome home balloon. She waited for me, and I came back. Tyler's smile cracked. "She'll remember me?" "No. She'll remember you tried to break her, and you failed, just like you failed to break me." As she turned to leave, Tyler whispered, "You think it ends with me?" Jenna paused. "No, I think it starts with you." That afternoon, Tyler requested to speak to Detective Price. What followed was 3 hours of strategic unraveling. Tyler admitted to 3 of the warehouse victims, confirmed that Joel buried at least 2 more they hadn't found yet, and finally he dropped a bombshell. Donnie Riles was the one who gave us access. He picked the girls. He set up the routes. He made us look clean. Tyler's condition worsened that evening. Internal bleeding. Infection. Doctors said he might not survive the week, which meant everything Tyler knew had come out. Now, Price made one last request. "What about the video message? You said there's one more." "What did you mean?" Tyler's smile faded. For the first time, he looked uncertain. "I left something behind. Something even I didn't understand. Joel found it. Said it was a girl who didn't belong. I thought he was lying, but maybe he trailed off. Maybe he wasn't." Back at the GBI crime board, a new line is drawn. From Tyler, to Joel, to Donnie Riles, and now to an unknown girl. Someone they hadn't counted. Someone they didn't know existed. Someone still unaccounted for. Price stared at the board and whispered, "It's not over. Not even close." A deeper motive. Where Jenna's discovery of Tyler's secret financial plans reveals the terrifying reason behind the abductions, and the shadow network still funding it. March 16th, 2025, 10:22 a.m. Fulton County Financial Crimes Division, evidence room. While detectives pursued the physical trails Tyler and Joel left behind, another team had quietly been dissecting the money. Because monsters like Tyler West didn't operate on madness alone. They thrived on control, on leverage, on networks built not with blood, but with bank wires, shell accounts, and paper trails. And now, that paper trail was finally bleeding. The discovery. Hidden inside Tyler's burner laptop, buried beneath layers of encrypted cloud backups, was a folder labeled Retirement Plan. Inside, 3 spreadsheets, 2 digital insurance policy files, and 1 scanned document with Jenna's forged signature, the life insurance. Tyler had taken out a $750,000 policy on Jenna in 2023, not while they were married, after the separation, forged, backdated, funded via a fake business account under Clear River Ventures. He had listed himself as primary beneficiary, former spouse, dependent co-parent. And worse, there was another policy. On Lily, $300,000. Detective Price stood frozen. He didn't just want to hurt them. He wanted to profit from their deaths. Follow the money. The team tracked the premium payments to a bank in Panama. From there, the trail splintered across 3 offshore accounts, eventually leading back to a larger, more protected name, the Roswell Foundation. On paper, Roswell was a nonprofit, providing resources for troubled men rebuilding their lives. But in reality, it was a front for a private trafficking network. Jenna's notes, the missed clue, back in the storage unit. Jenna had included a small file labeled Clear River risk accounts. Everyone thought it was about custody court expenses, but now they open it fully. It was a spreadsheet with names, ages, medical records, and dollar values next to each. Jenna had uncovered Tyler's human trafficking pipeline months before she was taken. She just didn't know how deep it went. The network. Price worked alongside federal agents to piece it together. Tyler and Joel provided the targets. Donnie Ryle scrubbed their identities and cleared legal roadblocks. Rosewell bought them. Buyers were anonymous, but the payments were real. At least 8 women have been sold. Their disappearances staged as runaways, overdoses, or personal choices. And Lily? She was next in line. The girl who didn't belong, as Tyler said. She didn't fit their criteria. Too young. But someone, somewhere, had expressed interest, and Tyler saw an opportunity. The cabin ledger. Inside the cabin planning den was a small, locked safe. Inside, a red notebook. A burner phone with only 2 numbers. D, Donnie. W, unknown. The notebook was coded, but cracked in less than an hour. Each page listed victim ID, age, condition, delivery status, final payout. Jenna's name was on page 9. Beside it, in red ink, rejected too visible, but next to Lily's name. Approved. March window. Buyer, W. Detective Price closed the book, his hands shaking. They weren't just killing. They were selling. They turned children into commodities. Back at the hospital, Jenna was told the truth. At first, she went silent. Then she said, I knew Tyler wanted power. I didn't know he'd sell his own daughter for it. She pulled out her journal, opened to a page she hadn't shared with anyone. He used to say, people are just value systems wrapped in skin. I thought it was philosophy. Now I know it was a business plan. Courtroom manipulation, where Tyler's legal team tries to spin an entire story, putting Jenna on trial in the court of public opinion, and where the world sees whether justice still works. March 27, 2025, 8:30 a.m., Fulton County Courthouse, preliminary hearing room 4B. The courtroom was packed. Reporters, survivors, advocates. People stood shoulder to shoulder just to witness what would come next. Because Tyler West, now branded the Lily Seller, wasn't just facing criminal charges. He was trying to twist the entire narrative. He wasn't fighting for freedom. He was fighting for the last word. And he would use every dirty trick in the book to get it. The charges. Tyler West faced 4 counts of first-degree murder, 1 count of attempted murder, 1 count of aggravated kidnapping, 1 count of child endangerment, 3 counts of trafficking with intent to distribute, 1 count of conspiracy to commit human trafficking across state lines, 16 federal indictments pending. The judge called the case one of the most morally corrosive and psychologically chilling profiles I've seen in 27 years on the bench. But Tyler's defense had a plan. Enter the defense team. Led counsel Gerald Langdon, known for defending the indefensible. Slick gray suit, gold tie, razor-thin smile. He walked into court with only one goal: discredit Jenna, undermine the evidence, control the narrative. And the moment he opened his mouth, Price felt the game shift. Langdon's opening statement: ladies and gentlemen, we are not here to put emotion on trial. We are here to examine fact, motive, and truth. The prosecution wants to paint Mr. West as a monster. But what if Mr. West is the one trying to protect his child from a mother with a documented history of paranoia, manipulation, and false claims? Gasps echoed in the room. Langdon continued: this case is not as simple as villain and victim. This is a broken family, a custody dispute gone nuclear, and my client was simply trying to save his daughter. The manipulation tactics began. Langdon's team presented Jenna's therapy notes, cherry-picked to frame her as emotionally unstable, a heavily edited clip of Jenna yelling during a supervised exchange with Tyler, claims that the storage bunker she built was proof of paranoia, and the kicker, a fake journal, allegedly written by Jenna, claiming she wanted to disappear with Lily to punish Tyler. Price leaned over to the prosecutor. That journal's a plant. He forged it. You can see the ink hasn't even dried. Jenna took the stand, battered, brave, hands trembling, but voice unwavering. Langdon asked, "Miss Morris, isn't it true you once told a friend, 'I'd rather see him dead than let him raise her'?" Jenna responded, "Yes, and every mother who's been stalked by a man who promised to kill her and sell her daughter would say worse." He pressed harder. "So, you admit you had violent thoughts?" She stared him down. "I had desperate thoughts. I lived in fear. I begged for help. I documented everything. And your client? He didn't just ignore that. He cashed in on it." Silence. The jury took note. But then, a bombshell reversal. The prosecution played the recovered warehouse camcorder video of Tyler taunting a victim, laughing as he prepared to hurt her. The courtroom watched in horror. And Tyler? He smiled. The jury shifted. Langdon's tactics crumbled. The courtroom no longer saw a man in a suit. They saw a predator who planned pain like a business deal. And when Lily was brought in, testify with the help of a child psychologist, the trial ended emotionally. My mommy told me to hide, and I stayed quiet, and I wrote notes, because I knew someone would find me. She held up one crayon-scrawled note. "Please find me." Closing arguments. The prosecutor stood. Tyler West didn't just commit crimes. He engineered evil. He built blueprints for it, and then tried to wear a tie and call it parenting. Don't let him walk into the shadows with that smirk. Send a message to every Jenna still alive and every Lily waiting to be found. The verdict pending. Trial continues. Verdict expected within days. But one thing is certain. The courtroom manipulation failed because Jenna stood tall, Lily spoke loudly, and Tyler West will never again hide behind charm. The daughter's diary, where Lily's private journal entries recovered from the cabin, are revealed, and they break the nation's heart. March 30th, 2025, 7:04 a.m. Fulton County Evidence Locker, item number 5371. Lily's journal. It was discovered under the mattress of the hidden room in Tyler's cabin, tucked inside a pillowcase, wrapped in a hand-sewn cover stitched with the words, "If I don't come back, this is my voice." Detective Daniel Price held it in his hands like something sacred, a child's journal, written in pencil, wobbly letters, but with the strength of someone twice her age. Lily's diary, April 1st, 2025, Court Exhibit C, 221. Read publicly with Jenna's consent. The courtroom was silent. You could hear tears falling onto notebook paper. A court-appointed child advocate read aloud. Entry 1, March 3rd, 2025. Mom said, "Don't cry. We are leaving tonight." Mommy packed the bags and said, "I'm her brave soldier." She told me not to cry if something bad happens. She said if he comes, I have to be very quiet and hide and breathe slow. Entry 2, March 4th. It's dark in here. I'm in a new place. It smells like old milk. There's a chain on the door. The man with the beard brought me goldfish crackers and said not to scream. I did not scream. I bit my lip and prayed like Mommy taught me. Entry 3, March 6th. I miss her eyes. I haven't seen Mommy in 3 days. The man said she's fine, but he lies. He talks to himself and gets mad when I move. I want to run, but the window is too small. I miss her eyes. They told me I was safe even when we were scared. Entry 4, March 7th. I left a note today. The man fell asleep. I crawled to the door and slid a note outside. I wrote, "Please find me. I hope it doesn't blow away." I drew a flower so they know it's me. Entry 5, March 10th. I heard someone say her name. The man on the phone said Mommy. He said she was still fighting. He said she bit him. I smiled when he didn't see. Because Mommy doesn't give up. Not even when they think she's done. Entry 6, March 11th. He's not my dad. The other man is not my daddy. He smells like fire and he talks with his teeth closed. I pretended to sleep when he came. He said weird things. I think he wanted to take me away. I didn't let him. Entry 7, March 12th. They're close. I can feel it. Last night, I heard sirens far away. I press my ear to the ground. It's like a thump in my heart. They're coming. I just need to stay brave. Mommy said to wait. And I did. I really did. Entry 8, March 13th, she came back. They broke down the door. There were lights and shouting. Someone picked me up. Then I saw her. Mommy. Her face was hurt, but she smiled. She cried a lot. I cried too. I was home again. Final entry, March 17th. We are not broken. Asterisk. We went outside today. The sun was hot. I wore the pink shirt Mommy saved in her bag. People took pictures. Some cried when they saw me, but I smiled because we are not broken. We are alive. And Mommy said my story can help others. So this is my story. Please don't forget it. Asterisk. The courtroom was speechless. Even the judge paused for several minutes. People in the gallery sobbed. And every juror stared straight at Tyler West, whose face, once smug, was now empty. Because no defense, no cross-examination, no manipulation could ever erase the words of a child who survived him. After the reading, Lily stood beside her mother. The judge leaned forward and simply said, "Thank you, Lily. Your words may save more lives than this courtroom ever has." The diary was published online with Jenna's approval. By nightfall, it had been read by over 4.2 million people. Domestic violence shelters saw a 30% increase in hotline calls. The hashtag Lily's Voice trended worldwide. And schools across the country added emergency communication training for children. Trial of the decade, where the nation watches as a verdict draws near and the truth is laid bare in front of the world. April 7th, 2025, 9 a.m. Fulton County Superior Court. Courtroom 1A, Day 19 of State versus Tyler West. Every seat was filled. Every hallway lined with cameras. Every news anchor in the nation was tuned in, because this wasn't just a trial anymore. It was a reckoning, a test of whether a system that failed Jenna Morris again and again would now finally fight for her, for Lily, for every woman and child who ever whispered, "He's coming," and wasn't believed. The prosecution's final case. DA Rebecca Monroe stood tall. Her voice was clear, measured, deadly. She didn't dramatize. She didn't yell. She simply held up three things. 1, the surveillance footage from the warehouse and cabin. 2, Lily's diary, displayed on a courtroom projector. 3, a photo of Jenna post-rescue with one word beneath it, survivor. Then she turned to the jury. This isn't about a man who snapped. It's about a man who planned, who profited, who perfected his cruelty until it became a blueprint. He made Jenna disappear. He tried to sell Lily. And when they refused to break, he tried to rewrite the story. She pointed directly at Tyler. Do not let him be the narrator. Make this the chapter he didn't write. Give them justice. Not tomorrow. Not someday. Now. The defense's final plea. Gerald Langdon, Tyler's attorney, tried one last Hail Mary. He argued mental deterioration. He blamed childhood trauma. He painted Jenna as obsessive and vengeful. Was he perfect? No. Was he a monster? Not legally. His only crime was losing control of a family that didn't listen. A collective groan echoed through the crowd. Even the judge raised an eyebrow. Langdon closed with, "Show mercy," because without it, what separates us from him? The answer? Conscience and choice. Two things Tyler West had abandoned long ago. April 8th, 2025, 2:47 p.m. The jury returns. 12 men and women, eyes red, spines straight. They handed the bailiff a folded slip of paper. The judge read, "On the charge of first-degree murder, guilty. On the charge of attempted murder, guilty. On the charge of kidnapping, trafficking, conspiracy, and all counts of abuse, guilty, guilty, guilty." Tyler West blinked once and smiled, but no one smiled back. Sentencing, life in prison, without parole, plus 120 years. His assets seized, funneled to victims' funds. And Jenna and Lily were granted full protective custody and relocation support. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed. The crowd erupted into applause. Jenna emerged with Amelia and Lily. She held her daughter's hand as microphones reached for her. Her voice, raspy but sure, rang clear. We were not saved by heroes. We were saved by each other. And to every woman still hiding, still building bunkers of fear in their own homes, please hear me when I say, you are not alone. Keep fighting. Someone is listening now. The nation reacts. Hashtag Justice for Jenna and hashtag Lily's voice flooded the internet. Talk shows, podcasts, and news specials dedicated days to the case. Donations poured into women's shelters. A new law, Jenna's Law, was drafted to strengthen digital evidence protocols in domestic violence cases. And Tyler? Locked away in Georgia State Prison. Alone, unmoving, powerless. But even there, he was still watching. Because behind his cell, someone had carved a message into the concrete. We're still out here. W. The sister's testimony, where Amelia finally reveals a quiet burden she carried all along and the private sacrifice she made to keep. April 12, 2025, 10 a.m. Wagga TV Atlanta, exclusive interview recording. The studio lights dimmed. The cameras were silent. And Amelia Morris, Jenna's younger sister, the quiet, steady shadow in every courtroom seat, finally sat down. She had refused all media interviews. Until now. Why? Because her silence hadn't been about fear. It had been about guilt. Host: why now, Amelia? Why speak? Amelia: because everyone called Jenna a hero. And she is. But part of me feels like I failed her long before Tyler ever put his hands on her. Flashback, July 2023. 3 months before the abduction. Jenna had called Amelia crying. Again, he's watching me. I can feel it. He sends gifts to Lily at school. He showed up at the grocery store today, just stood in the parking lot smiling. Amelia had sighed. She didn't mean to be dismissive, but she was exhausted. 2. Jen, you've got cameras. Restraining orders. You moved twice. Maybe it's not him this time. Maybe you're just stuck in the fear. Jenna didn't yell. She didn't argue. She just said, okay, and hung up. That was the last time she ever reached out for help. Amelia, in the interview, she needed me to believe her completely. And I let my own logic talk me out of it. And then she vanished. And I realized my silence helped him win. What Amelia did next. The moment Jenna disappeared, Amelia transformed. She dropped work. She hired a private investigator behind the scenes. She visited every shelter and hospital within 100 miles. She scoured Jenna's old notebooks, emails, phone records, anything. She found something everyone else missed. A pattern in Tyler's purchases. Multiple survival gear orders. Heated flooring tiles. A large shipment of concrete delivered to an unregistered property. That tip led GBI to the second cabin. Amelia never told anyone she provided the lead. Why? Because it shouldn't have taken a family member doing detective work to prove Jenna was in danger. The system should have caught it. But it didn't, and I wasn't going to sit in regret. I was going to find her, one breadcrumb at a time. Back in present day, after Tyler's conviction, Amelia finally broke down in Jenna's kitchen. She apologized. I should have screamed louder for you. I should have believed harder. And Jenna, holding her hand, simply said, you did something no one else did. You searched without being told. A new mission. In the months that followed the trial, Amelia launched the He's Coming Project, a digital initiative that trains loved ones of abuse victims to recognize escalation patterns, document safely, and act without dismissal. Her tagline? Believe her the first time. Legacy in motion. With donations pouring in after the verdict, Amelia opened a trauma response center in Fulton County for women and children fleeing high-risk domestic threats. It included a forensic tech lab for digital abuse evidence, a hidden shelter wing with underground access, a children's classroom named Lily's Room, and one simple frame quote in the lobby. She wasn't crazy. Amelia watches Jenna and Lily from the clinic window, laughing in the garden outside. For the first time in years, her hands aren't clenched. Her chest doesn't feel heavy. She smiles because she finally knows. She didn't fail her sister. She became her sword. The man in the shadows. When mysterious W from the concrete message resurfaces and the case takes one last dark turn before closure. April 18th, 2025, 11:34 p.m. Georgia State Prison. Inmate surveillance feed. Tyler West hadn't spoken to anyone in days. No lawyer visits. No phone calls. No letters. He sat in his cell like a ghost, eyes hollow, lips sealed. But then, at exactly 11:34 p.m., he received a message. Not a letter, not a call, but a hand-delivered envelope slipped under his cell door by a guard who never made eye contact. Inside it was a single index card. No name, no symbol, just 4 words, still in play. W. The hidden message. Jail staff brushed it off. Just prison mind games, they said. Tyler had enemies, after all, or maybe fans. But Detective Price knew better, because he remembered the concrete wall behind Tyler's cell, the one marked with, "We're still out here, W." And now it wasn't just graffiti. It was a signature, reopening the network trail. Price pulled out the old Roswell Foundation files, cross-reference payment IDs, IP addresses, donor logs, and one name kept resurfacing. Win Mercer, a venture capitalist based in Arizona, donor to tech charities, father too, clean record. But his money moved like a ghost across shell companies tied to known trafficking ports in Florida, Nevada, and Mexico. He wasn't sloppy. He was deliberate. And the payments? They didn't stop after Tyler's arrest. They increased. Jenna gets a warning. 2 nights later, Jenna received a restricted call. She let it go to voicemail. You think he was a monster, but monsters work in teams. Watch the windows. Lily is still an asset. Jenna dropped the phone. She activated her panic code. Within 12 hours, U.S. Marshals had her and Lily in a protective relocation program. Again, Price's dilemma. He brought the case to the FBI. They hesitated. We got no direct tie from Mercer to any abductions. Just inference. No hard proof. But Price wasn't waiting for another Jenna. He went off book. Tracked down Donnie Riles, Tyler's former lawyer, in a halfway house in Mississippi. Donnie was frail now, off drugs, sober, full of guilt. Price showed him the index card. Donnie nodded. W isn't a man. He's a system. Win was just one of them. The buyers pay. The monsters deliver. But the W's? They disappear. The twist. Donnie then handed Price a flash drive. Tyler used to record everything. He thought it made him smart. On it, a folder labeled W Deals Backup. It contained invoices signed WM, conversations about new stock from small counties, a voice memo. She's strong, smart. If she doesn't break, we don't kill her. We sell her higher, keep her in the system. She's worth more alive. The girl is an investment. They were talking about Lily. April 22nd, 2025, emergency session. A federal task force was assembled overnight because this wasn't just about one predator. It was about a network still operating in the dark, now aware that one of their top brokers was in prison, and that broker wasn't afraid. He was smiling. Tyler's final words so far. That week, Price visited him one last time. You're not even scared, are you? Tyler shrugged. Fear is for the hunted. I was just a salesman. The hunt goes on. Then he leaned in, eyes gleaming. Tell Jenna, W always collects. The trap, where Detective Price and Amelia set a sting operation to finally unmask W and bring down the last piece of the trafficking web. April 28th, 2025, 4:45 a.m. Somewhere outside Phoenix, Arizona, a van rumbled down a desolate desert road. Inside it, a child-sized bed, cold lunch packs, and hidden tracking equipment. What the traffickers didn't know, they weren't moving a girl. They were moving a ghost, because the girl they thought they were trafficking was actually an FBI agent's daughter in disguise. And the whole operation? A trap, Operation Silent Net, led by Detective Price, Amelia Morris, and a newly formed DHS/FBI task force. The goal was clear: flush out W, follow the money, end the system. They used bait from Tyler C's files, old buyer lists, encoded phrases like cinnamon flour and Lightroom ready. Amelia volunteered to be the seller. Amelia goes undercover. She dyed her hair, changed her name, posed as a cold, calm trafficker named Sienna Vale. Price hated it. Jenna begged her not to, but Amelia was done being afraid. I helped build this sting because I didn't scream when Jenna did. Now I'm screaming for every girl who never got out. She made contact on the dark web. The buyer replied in code, then sent one word: win. Tracking the deal. The buy was scheduled for May 1st in a private airstrip hangar near Chandler, Arizona. The payment, $300,000 in crypto. Buyer expected, unknown, but the IP address pinged to a corporate shell leased by Win Mercer's second wife, the same Mercer who'd vanished days after Tyler's conviction, the night of the sting. May 1st, 2025, 10:27 p.m., Chandler Executive Airfield. Amelia stood beside the child decoy, an agent in a wig, playing quiet and trained. The hangar door creaked open. Two men stepped inside, one in a suit, the other in military gear, faces hidden. The suited one spoke. "We were told she's compliant. I don't like noise." Amelia replied, "Steady, no noise, just value." She tapped her watch. That was the signal. Lights, sirens. Federal agents swarmed. The arrest. Win Mercer tried to run. He made it 20 yards before AK-9 unit took him down. His partner? A former IC subcontractor, now a mercenary for hire. Both were taken alive. What they found? Inside the jet parked outside the hangar. A suitcase with 5 passports. A USB drive with names of 73 children. A ledger titled, "Confirmed Inventory, East Coast." The network wasn't local. It was international. And it was about to crumble. Amelia faces him. The next morning, she sat across from Win Mercer in federal holding. He was bloodied, silent. She laid a photo of Lily on the table. "You called her a product. Now look at her. Alive. Loved. And you? You'll rot under the same sun you sold children beneath." Win said nothing. But when she stood to leave, he muttered, "There are more of us." Amelia didn't turn back. Not for long. Federal fallout. Within 72 hours. 19 men and women arrested across 4 states. 3 judges, 2 lawyers, and 1 tech CEO indicted for conspiracy. 140-plus encrypted files decrypted from Win's drives. A major trafficking ring operating under the cover of charity exposed. The Roswell Foundation was officially shut down. And Tyler West? In solitary confinement. He was delivered a newspaper. The headline? W captured an Arizona child sting. He stared at the photo of Win Mercer, on his knees cuffed. For the first time, he screamed. Back at the federal office, Price and Amelia pin a photo to a wall full of mugshots. They step back. Jenna enters quietly and hangs one more photo. Lily's school picture. Then, together, they draw a red circle around it. The one they didn't get. A mother's final word. June 9, 2025, 6:30 p.m. A private garden outside Atlanta. 1 year after he's coming. The roses were in bloom. Lily was chasing fireflies in the dusk. And Jenna Morris sat before a quiet camera crew. Hair longer now. Scars healing. Eyes unbreakable. She hadn't spoken publicly since the trial. Until tonight. "Why now?" the reporter asked. Jenna looked toward her daughter, smiling, then turned back. Because stories don't end just because the villain is caged. They end when the survivors finally write the last page themselves. She took a deep breath, then began. "My name is Jenna Morris. I am a mother, a survivor, and I was hunted." People know the headline. They know the text, "He's coming." But they don't know the ache in those 2 words. They don't know what it's like to press send and wonder if it will be the last thing your child remembers you by. What the world didn't see. She talked about the months of stalking that went unreported because she didn't want to sound crazy. The nights spent awake, knife in one hand, baby monitor in the other. The panic of packing a go bag, knowing you have 20 seconds to flee if he finds you, and the silence of institutions that told her, "We can't act unless he actually hurts you." They needed bruises to believe me, but sometimes fear is a deeper wound than fists. The moment that broke her, she shared the night Tyler took her. I remember Lily's face, sleepy, confused, clutching her blanket, and I whispered, "Be brave, I'll find you." I wasn't sure if I would, but the moment I woke up in that dark room, chained, I knew one thing. He would not win. Even if it killed me, he would not get to say I gave up. She looked into the camera and said, "To the mothers who feel the walls closing in, I see you. I was you. To the daughters watching this, your worth is not measured in silence. Your pain is not weakness. And to the predators still hiding behind money, screens, and lies, we are louder now. We are coming, and we are not afraid of you anymore." Legacy begins. Jenna ended the interview by unveiling a foundation in her name, the Final Text Initiative, a rapid response network for women in crisis situations, combining tech trauma teams and relocation support. Their motto? One message can save a life. Where they are now, Lily started 4th grade under a new name with a service dog named Rocket. Amelia became Director of Crisis Operations for the Final Text Initiative. Detective Price was honored with the Department of Justice's Civil Valor Award. Tyler West remains in a federal supermax. Wynn Mercer faces 49 counts of trafficking and conspiracy, with more added monthly. Thank you for watching this emotional true crime documentary. Subscribe for more true crime chilling stories. Like and comment your opinion.